We all know accidents happen, but sometimes they can turn deadly. Today, I'll be sharing with you 3 true stories of freak accidents that are so unbelievable, you might just think I'm lying. But first, if you enjoy storytelling in this sort of format, just like I've done for years on TikTok, and you're a fan of true crime, bizarre history, and gruesome facts, make sure you hit those buttons, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a future video. Now, let's get into it. Our first story is that of Dr. Vivian Hensley, an Australian dentist. This story truly proves that magic should be left to the professionals. The 43-year-old dentist liked to dabble in magic, which can be a fun hobby until it turns deadly. Back in 1938, he was practicing his favorite trick, which he called swallowing the rusty razor blade, and it's very true to its name. Typically, he would pretend to swallow the razor blade and it would slip down his sleeve. But this time was different. Instead of it going down his sleeve, it accidentally went down his throat. And the worst part is this happened right in front of his son. His wife took him to the hospital, but despite x-rays and surgeries, the wannabe magician did not make it. He tragically died in the hospital 4 days later. For our next entry, we'll be flying all the way up to Broadstone, England. This is the story of Alina Gardner, which will make you absolutely terrified of using metal straws. Now, I wasn't aware how many different pronunciations there are for the name Alina, Elena, Elena. I'm pretty sure it's Alina with an E, but if I'm wrong, I do apologize. I tried my best, but I see people say it different all over the country, all over the world. So just wanted to throw that out there. Now, if you remember, a couple of years ago, we made the eco-friendly switch to using metal straws, opposed to polluting our planet with more plastic, which is good. But for Alina, it was a horrible idea. The 60-year-old retired jockey was simply walking around her home with a Mason-style jar glass, drinking out of a metal straw. Now that sounds harmless enough. We all do that. We all walk around our house, have drinks, so on and so forth, and we're fine. But her story ends a lot differently. She fell while carrying the glass, and the 10-inch metal straw went through her left eye socket and pierced her brain. Now, I'll throw this warning out right now. Do not use metal straws with a fixated lid. It needs to have play, so if something like that happens, the straw isn't so stiff and can just really hurt you. Now, my biggest fear when using one of these has always been that it's gonna slip and rip the gums off of my teeth. It just grosses me out. I love using these, but after hearing this story, I look at them a little bit differently. Not long after she fell, her wife of 4 years, Mandy, found her lying on the kitchen floor face down. She didn't initially hear her fall, but whenever she found her lying on the floor, she was making gurgling noises. She turned her over, realized what had happened, and immediately called 999. She was rushed to Southampton General Hospital, but tragically died the next day. The cause of death was traumatic brain injury. Now, I do want to mention that Miss Gardner was prone to falling and had mobility issues due to a riding accident when she was 21. But as I already mentioned, if you use these, do use caution. For our third and final freak accident, we are heading up to Brooklyn, New York for the story of Michael Pierre and the exploding toilet. This one is unbelievable, but a little less gruesome than the last two. This story takes place in 2013 at the Canton Tower development in Brooklyn, New York. Maintenance was being done to the plumbing to add a backflow prevention valve. At 11 p.m., Michael flushed the toilet to see if the water had been turned back on when the toilet bowl exploded in his face. The blast rendered him unconscious and left him covered in lacerations from ceramic pieces. His injuries required 30 stitches, but it also left him with more than just physical damage. Poor Michael became afraid of even flushing the toilet while in the same room. He now uses a string to flush the toilet from another room. Now, I don't know if he still does this, as it's been quite a number of years, but that's crazy. That's horrible. Something as simple as a toilet almost took this man's life. He's quoted by saying, "I know it sounds silly, but every time I look at the bowl, it's all I can think about." I hope you enjoyed these 3 stories of freak accidents that you probably still don't believe, even though I promise you they're true. Stay tuned for more, my friends, and see you on the morbid side.